Reform UK's migrant tax be bad for Britain? It's time now for our head-to-head. So, yesterday, Reform UK leader Richard Tighe set out his party's bold new immigration policy with plans to tax businesses that employ foreign workers.
The British economy, our great economy, it has a deadly, deadly addiction. That's the harsh truth. It's the drug of cheap overseas labour. And the cure is an employer immigration tax. So what we need to do is we need to incentivise business to say, actually, if you want to employ people from overseas, that's fine, but you've got to pay a price for it.
But the critics were quick to point out the flaws in Reform's policy, with fears that some businesses could just go bust if they are forced to pay this tax. And there's been warnings, too, that businesses could miss out on highly skilled foreign workers because they would be too expensive to hire. So tonight I am asking, would Reform UK's migration tax be bad for Britain? Let me know your thoughts. Head to gbnews.com/your say. Tweet me at gbnews and make sure you go and vote in our poll as well. But yes, OK, I am joined this evening on the show by Reform's Ben Habib, the Deputy Leader of Reform, and Jeff Birch as well, business guru and author. Ben, I'm going to come to you first. Can you try to sell this policy, please? Because it does seem, I don't know, I can see some holes in it. So just try and sell it, please.
OK, well, there are 2.9 million foreign workers in the United Kingdom at the moment, working on, visas, work permits. And that is roughly 10% of the British workforce. And if we were to levy an extra 6% on employers' national insurance, that would earn, assuming employers didn't change their behaviour, £4 billion per annum for the Exchequer, which over 5 years would equate to the 20 billion that Richard was talking about. But the point about the policy is not to earn 20 billion for the Exchequer. What it's there to do, which taxes and regulations are used by government habitually to do, is to change behaviour, to give business an incentive not to recruit from abroad, but to wean themselves off cheap imported labour and use domestic labour. And we've got 6 million people, Patrick, on universal credit at the moment. That's 20% of our workforce is surviving to a greater or lesser extent on benefits.
All right, Ben.
And what we want to do is get business to employ those people.
I'll come back to you. I will come back to you. Look, Jeff, you've heard what Ben has had to say about it there. Do you think that will work? Is it a good idea?
Well, it's a great idea, but no, it won't work. But I mean, throughout history, protectionist taxes have been tried, and they've always ended in catastrophe. From the depression of the 1930s, which was caused by protectionism. Every time it's tried, you get this same result. I mean, the problem is that if you prevent something of quality, whether it's a product or a person, for entering an economy, then what happens is the economy starts to produce shoddy replicas. I know this sounds, but I mean, Russia tried it, and anybody who's ever driven a Lada or a Moscovich knows what the result of that is. And of course, the other problem is that it hits different industries in a different way. I mean, the service industry's stuck here, but manufacturing isn't. And you can either bring people into where stuff is made, or if it gets too difficult, you can move making stuff to the place where the people are. So we could be exporting jobs rather than importing people.
All right, Ben, I do put it to you that not all foreign labour is cheap and unnecessary. Sometimes they are just the best people for the job, and you would still be taxing businesses, if they decide to employ those people.
Well, can I just say two things? The first is, if they're very highly skilled people, the extra 6%, frankly, doesn't touch the size of the problems of a business. It wouldn't even present a problem to a business. If they're highly skilled and they're earning, 7 figures or 6 figures or whatever it is, it's not an issue. That won't even impact that. But what we've seen, Patrick, is mass immigration into the United Kingdom. It used to be tens of thousands in the 90s. It became 300,000 under David Cameron, and now the net immigration figure is 750,000. The gross figure is 1.4 million. You cannot get 1.4 million people into the United Kingdom and tell me that they are all highly skilled, contributing to our economy. Absolutely not. And we know this because the minimum wage for a working visa was set at £26,000 per annum by the Conservative government. That's 25% below the median wage in the UK, which has already been depressed. And people aren't able to earn a decent wage for a decent day's work in the UK. We have to allow the UK domestic worker to come back into the workforce. And the idea... One more thing, Patrick. The British worker cannot be compared to a Russian larder or a Czech larder or wherever it's made.
Ben, we're going to have to park it there, my good man. All right, Jeff, look, when you do look at certain businesses, and, you know, I don't want to get sued by anyone here, but, you know, just taking some anecdotal examples. If you walk into a Pret-a-Manger or a Tesco's or places like that, and you think, you know, why are you employing everyone in there who is, it seems, is non-British, OK? Why is there such a push for that? Is there not some kind of need or even duty to the people of the country that you're actually living in to try to give them first dibs on something?
Well,
absolutely.
To touch a little piece of controversy here, just to really add some spice to it. Before Brexit, of course, the majority of these unskilled people came in, they were very young, they made a few quid and then they cleared off. Now we've got jolly old Brexit. We've got twice as many people coming in who intend to stay here forever, which is a problem. And I work with these supermarkets. I work with fruit growers. I work with garden centres. They would be so delighted if UK people applied for the jobs. They're not applying for the jobs. And when you say you bump into these people in sandwich bars and supermarkets, I think if you ask them, they're probably second and third generation. They are not people who've sort of clambered out of rubber boats or something. They are people
Jeff,
who've been
there's a world of difference between
legitimately
talking about people who've arrived across the English Channel and the people that are very often you do see, and you know it to be true, the people that you do see working in a lot of service jobs. I'm not saying they shouldn't be here. I'm just asking the question, the point of this discussion as to whether or not British workers should be prioritised. Look, both of you, thank you very much. We could have spoken about this all evening, and there's loads to go at, but we'll have to do it again sometime. Thank you.
We need to speak about it all evening.
No, we've got to go, Ben. I'm sorry. It's Ben Habib there. He's the Deputy Leader of Reform UK and business guru Jeff Birch. Right, look, who do you agree with? Because they certainly don't agree with each other. Would Reform UK's migrant tax be bad for Britain? 23% of you think that it would be bad. 77% of you say it wouldn't. So there we go.